Hello, I'm Noel, this is Antonia from Boxtail Soup Theatre Company. This is, of course, another Boxtail Scoop. If you've been watching these videos and enjoying them, please do consider giving us a thumbs up, a like, leave a comment, or possibly even subscribe. See, I remember to do it at the beginning this time.
Well done.
Today is a little bit different. Again, we're working on a lot of different stuff, but again, we thought we would try and group it together. So we're kind of talking about things that fit together and things of the same aesthetic, things that fit into the same world, rather than just having a jumble of stuff in each vlog. So this week we're looking at some very basic, really, cardboard props. The stuff that we're working on here is for the little fabric puppet guy that we featured a couple of vlogs ago. You've got him down there.
I have, yeah.
And it's for some video work, creating a world that he's going to inhabit. So it's not exactly to scale, but the stuff is built to create the cardboard world around him. That's what we're basically trying to do with this stuff.
Yeah, we decided quite early on that it was going to be a relatively simple cardboard world. There is one very specific purpose to it, which is the bit that we won't be showing you today, but there is a mixture of sort of technology versus the rudimentary cardboard, which is quite a nice juxtaposition. One of the things we wanted to focus on, I think, today is the fact that when you make things out of recycling, I think people sometimes still imagine that you're emptying out a bin and just picking out any old rubbish and sticking it together to make something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that has a particular kind of aesthetic, and I think people often misconstrue the idea of using recycling as a sort of synonym for it being messy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be. We use recycling a lot, and I think you can very deliberately just make that recycling have a really aesthetically pleasing and quite sort of high-end in a way look to it. Yeah. It's all, it's, you sort of lean in. I think we find we lean into the aesthetic.
Yeah, it's a choice, obviously.
Yes,
and
it is.
There are some people, obviously, who make art out of recycled materials, who very much go for that look of, you can recognise what these found materials were. It's supposed to look like repurposed rubbish almost. And then there are artists who make beautiful work out of recycled things, the way you would never know that stuff was found material.
So I think this is a sort of very much we're going for. It wants to look like cardboard. We want people to see that it is a cardboard world, but that we also wanted it to have a slightly cartoony feel and still have a nice finish.
Yeah.
So we started off. Sorry, did you have an extra thing you wanted to say?
I was only going to say that everything is made of card that we found. It's not. Yeah. These are old cardboard boxes that we use for stuff, boxes that we've been given that we used to carry,
all sorts of things, toilet rolls,
and, yeah.
wine, all sorts of things. So the one of the first things we did though was to repurpose. You may remember Cuphead Joe, who we'd shown you in a few vlogs ago, and also we've put up a tutorial of how to make him. Well, for this we need a little robot at some point. So in order to make him fit into the world, we've added some of the brown cardboard and this brown tape to give him the same feel. We also wanted to fill out his arms. He actually has a head that his head spins around so that he can be grumpy to begin with, and then when he gets what he wants, it turns around and he's happy about that. This little bit here changes. In fact, you can take out the paper, so you can see it's got a very rudimentary feel still. It still looks like pizza box and card, but I think it's got a finished feel, I think.
Yeah.
And then we've been making various flat pieces of set, I suppose. So here we've got a lamppost and a tree. And if we turn them over, you can see they really are just bits of old cardboard box, but picked out nicely so that the front is smooth enough, then detailed with black Sharpie. That's all it is. And then adding this kind of sense of layers to everything. So nothing is completely flat. Everything has usually got one layer.
Yes, it's got a sort of relief.
Yeah, exactly. But I hope you can see what we mean by the idea that this from the back looks a mess, but from the front I would hope looks like it's purposeful, looks like it's meant to be that way.
And at the same time, you can still see the material that it's made of. You can still see what it came from, and it all looks sort of rough and ready as well.
Yes, exactly. And then we've got these other the door. Yes, the door. So the little guy needs to actually be able to go through a door. So this door opens. And in fact, this was one of the first props that we made for this video, and because it had to be, there was quite a lot of brown tape that had to be used in order to make it open and close. We then decided to, again, lean into that rather than think, oh no, that might make it look messy. We've gone, right, well, if that's got to have brown tape, then to tie everything else in, let's put some brown tape on everything. So you can see these have got edgings of brown tape. I mean, these are little details really that possibly people wouldn't necessarily notice, or at least they wouldn't realise they've noticed. But I think it helps
it elevates it a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It makes things look purposeful rather than like, oh, they've just had to stick loads of tape on something. Mm-hmm. And then we've got a mix, haven't we, of kind of technology and card, like I said before.
Yeah. So part of the story of the video of the little world that he's going through is that this fabric puppet sees adverts and he sees these things on screens. So we wanted to make that happen. What we've come up with is just using some of the screens we have lying around. So old tablets, phones. We picked up a cheap tablet on eBay that we could slot into something like this. So if you imagine this is part of the street, this would be a kind of street furniture advert, the sort of thing you might see at a bus stop or something like that. And all we would do is slide the tablet into there so that the screen is then framed.
And this one is not quite finished, so you can see this one hasn't got the black Sharpie detailing around the edge, which just helps to tie everything together and makes the things pop a little bit more. This, on the other hand, this is another prop where the puppet kind of dances in amongst a load of screens.
Yeah, this is a sort of disco room for him, as it were.
So you can see this is a more finished version. You can see how the screens work within the cardboard frames.
So
just about probably
you can just sort of see that.
We'll show you maybe a better example of it, but you can see how they work within there. And in fact, there's another wall for this chamber as well that has two smaller screens in it. But it's quite a nice juxtaposition, this sort of modern technology.
Yeah, really lo-fi, really rough cardboard, along with these, these screens that we're so used to seeing.
And again, as with the others, edged with brown tape, edged with a bit of brown tape here on the framing, and with, again, just a small amount of black detail with Sharpie just to bring it all together. Mm-hmm. Make it feel like it was meant. We also made our little guy a pair of cardboard and paper sunglasses so that when he's dancing in his disco chamber, he feels like he looks cool, with his sunglasses on, with his shades. And again, they're just cut out of cardboard and a bit of black paper for the lenses. And then one of the larger pieces of scenery that we've had to make is this, which he will walk a fair distance in front of. Disappear behind it, but it's you can see the sort of street. So he'll walk in order to cheat it, because obviously if he was to stand right in front of this, the houses would be a bit small. It'd be like he was walking through a model village, so he'll be further away. So these are in the distance, but there's a row of houses.
What we're hoping is that these will be in the background, and then the lamppost and the tree and stuff will also be passing in slightly quicker in the foreground.
Yeah, exactly. To give that
give a sense of depth.
Yeah. And you can see we've just gone for, you've gone behind it. We've gone for suggestions of it. So rather than drawing all of the windows in on all of the buildings, we've got a few hints at what it would be. So yeah, quite pleased with that actually.
As part of that world, we've also, as we've mentioned on Instagram a couple of times, we've also made a long set of cardboard stairs, and they sort of taper towards the top to give the illusion that they're a little bit longer than they actually are, and they disappear off into the distance. And then we've also made for those some walls going down the sides that have, it's like the banner adverts that you see on the underground when you're going up, like the portrait screens where they're carrying video advertising all the way up. So we've got screens like that going up the side. For the lower ones, again, we're going to use real screens for that, so we're going to slide phones in. We've built little things for them to slide into. And then for the ones at the top, we'll just put little printed photos in, so it looks glossy, so that it keeps the same.
Yeah, they get so small. The top one, I think the very top one's smaller than even a passport photograph, so they do get very small.
And again, that's in order to give the sense of perspective.
Mm.
And you've put some little frames around all of them with the Sharpie detailing again to tie all of that together.
Yeah, it looks quite smart now, actually. I think we'll show you a video. Are we going to show something, a photograph or something of that later?
Yes, I've got a couple of photos of the stairs. They're a little bit too big and unwieldy to put up here on the
and I think that's before they were finished, so they haven't got the finishing touches, but you can get a sense of what they'll be like.
Yeah.
That's it really for this world. There are a few more bits and bobs that are part of this particular world, this particular video world. But we thought it might be interesting to see what you can do with various cardboard.
And then actually you've been making a whole other bunch of, I'll just show you a little example here, of flat props for another section of another video. Same sort of style, but these are on a sort of different scale. But I mean, again, you know, it looks pretty cool. I think the nice thing about this has been that although we use a lot of recycling, and always have done, it's very rare that we've worked with it kind of as raw in its appearance as this. And we've actually quite enjoyed it because we found that we quite like the look of it, we quite like the aesthetic, and we were debating whether we might use it for something else.
The nice thing about it is when you do put a pop of colour in it as well, like with that disco chamber, it really stands out against the brown card. So yes, we're thinking, what else could we use it for? Yeah. I think that's it for today, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So we will see you again next week. Thank you very much for watching, and do like, subscribe, leave us a comment if you wish to. That would be lovely. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks.